Daniel, I am so excited, man. Ramones live tonight. Can't wait to go see him. What about you?
Yo, man, I am super stoked.
You're going to wear the shirt of the band you're going to go see. Don't be that guy.
Welcome to the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Andy, it is July, and we have already gone through Rushmore of barbecue with Pastor Doug. It's been an amazing time. Down in the comments, if you haven't already jumped in, let us know if you think it's a cookout and a barbecue and what's the difference. But everybody's kind of chiming in with their sides and everything. It's been a great time catching up with our old pastor and mentor. But this week, we've decided to jump into another summer type Rushmore. And one of my favorite things to do in the summer is go to concerts. Man, I can remember as soon as the summer months came up, like all the big bands were starting to line up. You know, you could do it in the spring, you do it in the winter. That's the cool thing about concerts. But summer tours have always been like the most fun. The outside, like just so sweaty and hot. Andy, I know you are a big music fan. What do you think about today's Rushmore going to concerts? How about that?
Man, I love it. I'm very excited for this episode. Music March was probably one of my favorite months that we've done here at the Rushmore Show, talking about all of our guitarists, singers, bassists, drummers, and all forming our super bands. But if you go way back,
which I think my super band's still winning. My super band's still winning.
I don't know. I think we're going to get the headlining spot. But anyway, no, but if you go way back to like episode 4 or 5, when we talked about hobbies, one of my on Rushmore hobbies is going to concerts.
That's right.
This is what I love about concerts, that obviously the music, the band you're going to see, like that's the main attraction. But for me personally, and maybe you are the same way here, there are so many stories that have been formed around like who I go to the concert with. Like there are things that I remember to this day that isn't just like, hey, remember they played this song? No, but there's different stories and just parts and chapters of my life that are really, these concerts kind of just do a great job of bringing that all together. So man, concerts, a huge part of my life, not as much anymore. I wish it would be. But man, money's crazy, right? So sometimes these concerts are kind of tough to get to, but, I got bills and stuff now. Back in the day, it's like, I didn't have all that. But anyway, concerts, very excited for it today. It is going to be, just a great time kind of reminiscing and talking about these.
Dude, I love the fact that you brought up the relationships and the time frame and all the memories that come with it. I love the fact that you also said that you haven't gone to too many. As I was putting my list together, I realized, gosh, I got to go to a new concert and I got to find a band that I want to go see, because I haven't really been to a lot of them recently, unless it's like a Christian festival or something happening at a church or something like that. Most of the concerts that knock out this bucket list, I still haven't seen it. It's been a while, man. So I've been really excited, kind of reminiscing and going through the nostalgia of all of it, and then all the different memories of who I was there with and some of the funny stories that happened. And so that's part of my criteria today. But man, we got an amazing guest. And yeah, he's new to the show and been kind of following us down low. Andy, tell us about who's on the show today, and let our fans know all about Daniel.
So back in the day, and I've shared it, I played in bands and stuff. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to use any of my own band's concerts. I'm not going to be that guy. But yeah, so I was in bands, and man, back in the day, it's like you would just rotate members and stuff. Like I felt like all of our bands had like 15 people.
Well, we've already had a few people that are associated with your band on this show.
Right. So we've had Dennis here. Paul was never really in the band, but he was always kind of in the band, but not in the band.
He was like the groupie, right?
Like Flava Flav, right? Of the local.
Flava Flav!
But he was the hype guy. But this guy, our guest today, was a member of the band. Started out as that guy who just kind of followed and hung out with the band and stuff. He was our, I guess, merch guy. Like I think we had a shirt, right? But maybe some stickers and stuff. But he started out as that. became bassist, became a really good friend, and we are going to welcome today to the Rushmore Show, Daniel Eller. What's up, buddy? What's up, man?
What's up, Daniel? Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super stoked to be here.
Yeah, man. So, hey, let the Rushmore community, let them know, hey, what's your love of concerts? How you feel about music and concerts and all that kind of stuff?
Oh man, I feel super honored that you picked me for this one, just because, I mean, like you said, music was such a huge part of our lives, you know, especially when we were younger, man. Like the whole thing about, you know, going to shows and just like calling up your buddies, be like, all right, man, hey, this band's coming here. We're getting tickets. We're going, dude. We're going to go ham. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be great. Like, that's my favorite. It's the camaraderie. And it's like, especially because we were in like the heavy metal community, you know? So it's like, it's like more niche, but like you go to a heavy metal show or a rock show, anything like that. The people you're in the show with, man, it's just like, it's like you're friends with everyone. Like, I don't think I've ever really had a bad time at a show like that.
Yeah. There were some pretty
bad
times that I had at probably some shows at the High Ground or Cypress Hall, just because of the facility itself. But I mean, outside of that, the camaraderie, man. Yeah, like you said. No, I totally agree. I think those are, again, like I said, kind of brings back memories and stories that you can tell. There's things today that I can't share in the Rushmore show from concerts that either we played or we just went to.
I am just glad that cell phones were not a big thing when I went to most of these concerts.
Right.
And social media was not yet a thing when I was at these concerts, because I could not run for political office.
Right. So, man, it's going to be a great episode today. I am so looking forward to getting into our Rushmores. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into our Rushmore of concerts.
All right, Rushmore Show community, it's that time to jump in to our Rushmore of concerts. Now, we always jump in and kind of tell a little bit about the criteria. And as I sent out my message to Andy and Daniel, I was like, hey, so this is what I want you guys to be thinking about. It is the Rushmore of concerts that you have been to, not Rushmore of concerts that you want to go to. But the cool thing is today on the second segment, stay tuned so you can see maybe some of what our bucket list would look like. And so, Andy, when you were going through your list and kind of putting things down, I'm sure you've been to tons of concerts. Tell the audience, right before you would get jumping in the Rosie, what were you thinking as you were building your mountain and building that criteria?
Yeah, man. So I love concerts. You said it. I've been to so many. I've lost count because, again, being in the local music scene too, like you go to so many of your buddies' concerts too. And I don't even remember how many I went to. You know, that's always fun to kind of reminisce on and everything. But outside of that, like big concerts too, been to a ton of those. Really, my criteria, there's not that much. I did mention it in the beginning in the intro that one of the things I really like about concerts is kind of the stories that carry over from that I remember from that. So each one of these concerts that I'm going to mention, it's much more than just the band. It's like the whole experience, just as a whole thing, right? Really is what kind of sets that apart for me. So outside of that, obviously it's concerts we've been to. I think we're all going to agree on that. You know, we're going to talk about the bucket list at the end. The shows that we would like, the bands we would like to see. But that's really it. It was still very difficult to narrow it down. At the end, I'll give you guys a couple of my honorable mentions that were fantastic.
As I think we all will.
Fantastic concerts that I've been to that just missed the cut. But again, if you gave me the tickets to that same concert today, I'm going, right? So same thing. So let's get to my Rosie, my number 4 on my list of concerts. And this concert is, as far as big concerts go, really was my first big concert experience. I went with my dad. It was at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum. And for those that are kind of local around this area, the big rock station in the Mississippi, kind of sometimes on the North Shore, depending on how the clouds are and stuff, was CPR. And CPR used to put on a festival every year. I went to CPR Fest 2003. Y'all, listen to this lineup. This is my Rosie. We had Saliva. We had Theory of a Dead Man. We had Breaking Benjamin. We had 12 Stones. And then Godsmack. Godsmack headlines the whole thing. Trapped played there. Like, think of, you bring yourself in my wheelhouse of music, like that early 2000s rock, hard rock stuff was just so good. And they all played this giant concert. And I remember, so obviously, like, my first concert, right? It's like my first real big thing that I went to. Getting to go there with my dad too is a special moment. The first half of the show, most of the show was outside.
Outside.
They had one stage that was outside. Saliva headlined that part of it. And then you would move inside into the Coliseum, and there was another 3 bands that played, and 12 Stones for some reason got to play inside. But anyway, that's a story for another day. 12 Stones played inside. Breaking Benjamin, and then obviously the whole thing headlined by Godsmack. Just a great time. And also, as a drummer, this was the first time that I saw Shannon Larkin and Sully Erna do the dual drum solo.
Dude, that was the greatest thing probably in the history of concerts that I've ever seen.
Right. So, but they were not next to each other. So eventually they were just working on this part of their show. And they eventually got to a part where I think they were both on the stage together, like 2 different drums. But bro, this one was like, Shannon Larkin is on the drum kit, his drum kit on the stage. And then Sully was like halfway in the middle of the crowd. There was this platform, and his drums just kind of went up from there, and they were having a drum off. It was one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. You know, that's 2003. That is right at the time that I first picked up drumsticks. So you can imagine, you know, me as a, you know, I'm in 8th grade, I think, at this point. And it was just, man, it was a super memorable moment. But here's the thing with CPR Fest, it's like that year was like the uber mega lineup of stuff. And every year since, like, no offense to people, but like Daughtry headlined it one year. It's like, what are we?
So I remember 01 and 02, right? 01, 02, 03, like those 3 or 4 years. Right. They were all bangers. They were all really, really good. I remember Smashing Pumpkins led one.
Come on, yeah.
No way.
And Smashing Pumpkins, that was great. And if I remember correctly, that was when Puddle of Mud was there. And,
there you go.
Yeah, and so that's a fun little jaunt in history. But dude, Saliva, I think, was there like all the time. Like that was one of Saliva's big things every year. And then there was a couple other bands that kind of just came every year. Like Breaking Benjamin, I think, came more than once as well. Yeah. Which that's probably the only place I've ever seen Breaking Benjamin, and they were amazing as well. So, I mean, we've talked about them back in a couple episodes back when we were talking about Who's Your Benjamin. Breaking Benjamin was
that's right. That's right. So
love that concert.
My Rosie, CPR Fest 2003, my first big concert. Getting a moment with my dad too. He's, you know, kind of just one of those special father-son moments, and that's why it's my number 4. So, Kirk, we're going to move on to your Rosie. Let the people know your criteria and who is your number 4 on your Rushmore of concerts.
Well, as we always talk, number 4 is always the toughest. I've changed it about 3 or 4 times, and I have a couple honorable mentions. Spoiler alert: the concert you just mentioned is on my honorable mention, so it's not mentioned today. But there were 2 that were kind of bouncing and trying to figure out which one I really wanted to put there. And is it going to be my first concert ever, or probably what I would consider most iconic person I've ever seen that has since gone? And so it's kind of like one of those nostalgic things. And so I decided to go with the latter. I'm going to go January 2nd, 1998. Me and my sisters go to a concert at UNO Lakefront Arena, and it was opened by Graham Central Station, which, if you know anything about that, that's kind of a little funkadelic, you know. But the headliner was none other than the artist formerly known as Prince.
No way, Prince.
Bro, and this when you talk about stage presence, and you talk about concerts in general, and like the show, right? The show. This is a big part of my criteria, right? I mean, like we already mentioned, the people that I was there with my sisters. At that time, it was my girlfriend that I was dating back then. and the memories that went along with it, as well as who's there, somebody I'll never ever get to see again, right? And on top of that, like the performance is just amazing. So here, let me tell you. First off, his iconic kind of that kind of thing. Yeah, dude, you hear that go from the background, and I'm like, whoa, where's he at? Where's he at? All the lights are out. That freaking cymbal is like rotating over top in like 3D, which that was in '98. That was so cool to see that kind of holographic type thing. And then a motorcycle starts, and he comes blaring down the middle of the UNO Lakefront Arena on this like ramp, pulls out, and he like starts singing, opens up singing off of a motorcycle, right? Well, this was pre-Jesus, right? So I was very deep in those big draft beers, and I am singing. Me and my sisters are singing and whatever, and I spilled beer all over this woman right in front of me.
Oh no!
Her husband stands up and like literally wants to kill me. My sisters are like, "It's okay. I'm sorry. It's just my obnoxious." At that age, I think I was probably like, well, it was '98, so I was 20. And so I wasn't even legal to drink yet. And my sister's like, "It's okay. I got him. He won't do it again." And literally, probably 6 songs later, one more beer in, whole beer.
Same lady,
all over this woman.
Oh right? Gosh!
And this guy, I literally thought was going to kill me. And so, like, that was just a crazy part, like memories. And they ended up moving down. I'll never forget this. I mean, I
don't blame them.
Yeah, they ended up moving down. But here's the cool part about them moving down. Prince called them up on stage. What? They got up on stage. One of them got on stage, and I was like, "That's the person, right?" And so it was a crazy night, and just Prince. Prince is a technician with the guitar, a technician with the show, the lights, everything that was going on. Great memories with my sister. A time before Jesus that I can go back and really just lock into one of those core memories. Actually, I sent her a message last night, and I was like, "Who opened for Prince?" And they were like, "I don't think anybody did." And I'm like, "I feel it's Graham Central Station." And actually, we kind of talked about it. I literally thought P-Funk was there. I remember the music going on, and he wasn't there, but I have seen him before. So I'm mixing things. Yeah. And so, yeah, I pulled up and found the old ticket stub online. I was like, "Oh, there it is. That's the show." Nice. And so my Rosie, number 4, starting off hot, man. Prince, artist formerly known as Prince at that time. So there you go, man. That's how I'm going to kick this thing off.
That's super cool.
That's cool, man. I never got to see Prince.
Yeah, me either.
You know, potential bucket list guy. So yeah, that's a great pick. Also, 1998. I was like 9 years old, so. I don't think I was going to go to a Prince concert. So, you know.
So yeah, we're like 10 years different. So right. I was, so it was December. So I had just made 20. So I was just, my birthday's late August. So I was 20 at that time. So
yeah,
pretty cool. So, actually, this was the last concert I think I went to. Maybe 1 or 2 more before I joined the military.
Good deal. Great pick. I like that. Prince, or artist formerly known as Prince. So whatever you want to call that symbol. Great pick there. Eller, we're going to move. We're going to welcome you to unveiling a Rushmore. Let us know, man, right. How did you pick your concerts, and what is your Rosie?
Oh man, dude, this was so tough for me because I mean, like, you and I have gone to a bunch of shows, right?
Yeah.
But I've gone to so many more shows with like Dennis and all them. So like, It was so hard to pick just because I mean, like the good times I had with all like my really like my best friends, you know. But actually, I'm switching my list right in the queue right
Come
here.
on now.
Right now.
Wait, I think Dennis did the same thing. Did he not?
Well, you guys are talking about stuff like that, like, you know, really like amazing concerts, stuff like that. But then when you said your first concert, I was like, no, what? That's it, because that's what solidified my love for live music.
Yeah.
Okay. So my Rosie. I was in the 9th grade. Okay. So when was that year? 2003, 2004, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my Rosie is Real Big Fish,
Nice.
Legends, and Westbound Train or Eastbound Train. I forget what it is. I tried looking it up. I couldn't find it, but it was at the House of Blues, and it was on a school night. And I remember my mom was like really like not cool with me going because it was a school night. And I finally convinced her to let me go. And when I tell you, blew me away. Like, I mean, I don't really listen to ska anymore. You know, it's kind of like it's a phase, I guess. But man, oh man, that was the most fun. And then like, so Real Big Fish, huge fan when I was like really young. But Suburban Legends, I'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they halfway through their set, they play Under the Sea. They do a ska punk version of Under the Sea, and it's amazing. And next time you guys have Paul on, Paul was there with Thomas Johansson. Yeah, we've talked about this a couple times where he just literally ran into the pit, like ripped his shirt off and was dancing. You know what I mean? And I didn't even know Paul at the time. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Paul,
nice.
Paul has mentioned multiple times that he was a Real Big Fish. Kind of in
they were all big ska guys.
It was a weird window of life. Like there was 2 summers where ska was just the king, right? And like,
yeah.
But you know what's cool? Like ska's really cool. Like I hated it when I was a kid. I'm not even gonna lie. And I think there's because one of my bands, we played Battle of the Bands pretty often. And we always lost to the ska band, because they were like, oh, they play horns or whatever. So kind of always had this
Kamikaze.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah, come on. Yeah. So I always had this grudge against it, but like looking back on it now, you can appreciate it. That ska's, it's just fun, man. There's
just fun music, yeah, man.
Smile. You cannot not smile when you listen to ska. So man, Real Big Fish. Great. So that's your first concert, right? Your first.
That's my first concert ever. Like,
nice.
So
I mean, I'm not against ska. Obviously, it's kind of a long lost type of music that I haven't listened to in quite some time. But Real Big Fish was the band that got me hooked. Is that like a?
That's kind of a pun.
That's kind of a pun. Got me hook, line, and sinker with ska. But I mean, Mighty Boss Tones were the ones that were always on the radio for their one song that was cool. But Real Big Fish, the whole. I ended up having a couple of their albums, and that main one, that whole album, I could listen to it from front to back. And I remember as a kid, when as music goes, my dad, if there was a song that came on and it was either a trombone, a trumpet, or a sax, some kind of brass would come in it, he'd be like, listen to that saxophone, son. And he'd act like he's playing the sax, And so I've always kind of just dug bands that had that horn section, and then ska was it. And so it's all fun. My dad always danced kind of ska. And so I liked it. I dig it. Real Big Fish was a really cool band, and I never got to see them. So cool. That's I'm kind of jealous. That's a good one.
It'll be interesting.
It was a great first show, man.
It'll be interesting to find out later what show got kicked off for that one. So maybe we're
going to hear it. I'm hopefully in the honorable mentions.
But hey, that's great. Great pick. So hey, we're done with our Rosies. We're going to move on to
TJ Jazzy Jeff. Now, did you get to see the Fresh Prince, Andy? Because this is a good spot for him.
I did get to see him on reruns at Nick at Night. So I did get to watch him then. As a kid, or was it? Did it come on Snick? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but I didn't get to watch him either. So I mean, or in concert. So who's your TJ Jazzy Jeff number?
Yes. 2. So this one's a little bit more obscure, but I'll explain again. There's a story connected to it. I don't even remember what year. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember what year it was, but sometime after 2010, maybe 2012, 2013 ish was around this time. One of my favorite bands, and actually they sung Courtney and our wedding song, like the song that we chose. Go Radio is the name of the band. We went and saw Go Radio at this little dive bar in Pensacola, Florida. I mean, I'm telling you, it was the size of this office that I'm filming in right now, which is not very big. It was so.
And I've been in that office, so man,
you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it was tiny, man. And I just remember, like, we were front row, but honestly, if we were back row, we would have been just as close. Like, it wasn't.
You were like in their armpit,
basically. And it was one of those moments. So this had to be like 2013 because we went there because we knew that they sang our song. We were married in 2012, so it was about 2013. We went out there to this little bar in Pensacola and got to see one of our favorite groups. Then they sang, that song called "Goodnight Moon," and it was just one of those special moments. One of our friends who is going to be joining us in August, David Finn, Daniel Eller, you know him too.
Yeah,
Finn the Collector.
He was actually at that concert with me, so it was one of those cool memories getting to hang out with them. But here's where the story gets crazy, okay? So obviously everything about that sentimental, great concert, really cool. If you can see a band in a small venue, I recommend it because it's just so cool. And I'll talk about one of those in my honorable mentions later. But afterwards, my grandmother at the time owned a condo in Gulf Shores, right? And Kirk, you've been there. Daniel, you've been there.
I have.
And so we were like, Pensacola, Gulf Shores, it's really, rather than going home, we're just going to spend the night at this place. This place, we got out late. It was a pretty quick drive over there. So we drive out to the condo, and I think I've told this story before, but we're moving our way up the elevator, everything's happening. We get out in the hallway and we're like, what is that smell? I mean, it smells like death. I'm literally thinking, like, did somebody get killed? And it's horrible. It's the worst. So we're just walking down, we're kind of walking down this long hallway. It's sort of like, Red Rum, come play with us. Like, that's how that feel is, like this is long, never ending hallway. And we keep moving. And the more and more we walk, the smell is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. We're like, certainly this isn't our room. Cause like literally they don't rent this out. This is just family, like the last person who was here was probably here, a month ago. So whatever, it's somebody else's room. And we get into our room and this smell is in the room. And we're like, what happened here? We'll come to find out. We look in the fridge and the person who stayed before must have purchased some raw shrimp at some point and gross. Decided to keep them there. And when we did a little investigation, he hadn't been there for a month. So these shrimp, I'm telling you, listen, how do people stay here and not complain and something happened about it? There were the rotten, dude, they were like gelatinous. It was this fun. So we spent the night, instead of just like coming there, crashing, whatever, enjoying the beach and all that kind of stuff the next day, we went to Walmart late night. We had to get some odor band. We had to get some spray, all this kind of stuff to try to make it livable because, it was the worst thing.
Unbearable.
Every time the best part is you said you smelled it from the elevator. The elevator is a good 6 or 7 rooms away.
Right. I'm telling you, it was.
And this is condos. This isn't apartments.
Right.
This isn't like hotels.
Yes.
So that's.
There's a distance. And that smell was peeling the paint off of the walls. I'm telling you, it was so bad.
Well, needless to say, we probably should have peeled the paint off of those walls with the chickens and the whatever the heck was going on in there.
Yeah. But so every time I think about this concert that I go to, I think of this memory. And I know it sounds like a horrible memory, but what's funny about like looking back on these things, even those horrible memories, you're like, man, that was a great time. Like not in the moment, it wasn't, but it's a fun story to tell. And it all started with just a great, great concert. Obviously my wife got to go to the concert with her, got to go with friends and stuff. You're in this tiny little place. You get to see this band. And look, bonus, bands will play like a song before they come out. Like they're not playing it, but it's just playing through the house or whatever. Theirs was the Ghostbusters theme song. I don't know why they did it. And it was literally just the whole song. And then they came out. It was the weirdest thing ever, but I was like, this is kind of cool. Anyway, so yeah, Go Radio, about 2013 in this, I don't even remember the name of the bar. It's a tiny little place in Pennsylvania.
Go Radio.
It was my TJ, Jazzy, Jeff. I don't know. Eller, you know Go Radio. I don't know.
Oh yeah, very much so.
I'm having to look them up, man. I'm trying to figure out what this is.
Singer of Mayday Parade.
your wedding song?
Yeah, so it's kind of that emo pop punk.
Oh, okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Of things.
Makes sense.
So, yep, that was. I loved that concert. Great time. Had a great time there. Not afterwards, but during the concert was really good.
Yeah, but you have a cool story to tell with it.
Yeah, and that's really the point. And I share with my criteria is like having stories to connect to these things. The concert itself is great enough, but when it becomes this element of your life that you can look back on, because I honestly can't tell you what their set list was. I can't tell you, you know what I mean, like when these certain things. I can tell you they came out to Ghostbusters, right? But when it becomes it's something more than just the concert, I don't know. Like I feel like I'm maybe like romanticizing this too much, but that's just what concerts are for me. Like that's just what those meaningful moments are. So that's why it's my TJ. It's one of my favorite memories ever. So we're gonna move to Kirk. Kirk, you're gonna let people know your TJ Jazzy Jeff. You're taking us for this one might actually be Fresh Prince because you're taking us back in time here. So let the people know what's your TJ.
So this is probably my newest concert, though. Actually, so I gave you my oldest that I'm on my list. So this is my newest. So this is my other two are in between. So this one is going to be very similar to yours, man. We're kind of crushed more in it a little bit in sense of the criteria and the reasons, right?
Okay.
But July 8th, 2001. July 8th, 2001. I met my wife, then girlfriend, about a week prior to this. It was on my buddy Wayne's birthday. And I had tickets to this concert, and I had an extra ticket. I had an extra one. And so me and my best friend, Paul Roser, we go down to New Orleans to this concert. And I literally handed I'm messaging Brittany and said, hey, look, I got an extra ticket. Why don't you meet us? And I hand the ticket through the fence. And that's basically our first date. And we close this thing down with our first kiss. So July 8th, 2001, Marconi Meadows, Infest. And this was the lineup. Cold, Crazy Town, Saliva, The Cult, Papa Roach, Seven Mary 3, and we ended it with Stained. And on It's Been a While, during that song, we danced. It's Been a While.
That's such a dance hit. It's one of the dance classics of our generation.
And we had our first ever kiss out there in the middle of Marconi Meadows. Now, here's the thing. We decided to go out and kind of me and my buddy Paul, and it's hot. It's blazing hot. And everybody's kind of taking their shirts off and doing whatever. So we decided to take our shirts off because it's hot. And we go to one of these tents, and they are handing out free suntan lotion. And we thought it was sunscreen.
Oh, no.
And so we put this stuff on, and I have never been so burnt in my life. And if Paul comes on and watches, which I've tried to get him to watch a few, he's just super busy. If Paul comes on, he will.
Oh my gosh.
We were lobster fried, and I got this can. I had blisters the size of this circle on my back.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, dude, they were huge. Now look, I was in the military at the time. And I ended up sleeping at Brittany's house, and her mother, my mother-in-law, bandaged me up every morning so that I could go to work because I was scared that the military was going to write me up for getting this bad sunburn and not be able to come into work. Wow. And I was fried. So I'm like walking in like this, my whole back is like gauze, like wrapped around like a mummy. And I'm like walking to work like this, and any little bit of sweat, I'm like dying. And then the worst thing is when those things started to heal. Oh my God. It was the worst sunburn I had ever had in my life. And so very similar to you, Andy, very unique situation with my wife and a very poor ending. Great time. My TJ Jazzy Jeff, not Fresh Prince, is going to be basically Stained at CPR Fest, July 8th, 2001.
You said Infest, right?
Oh, Infest. Apologize.
Yeah.
We already talked about CPR.
Yeah.
Fest, which is now basically Voodoo Fest, right? And then even before that, it was something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was always about the radio station because at that time it was the end.
Yeah.
Right. And then when
it was at 97.9, right?
Yeah. Well, it was 106.7 at that time.
106.7 the end. Thank you. Sorry.
97.9 was CPR.
So right.
Okay. Yeah.
So
97.9 was CPR. And then it turned into Voodoo Fest, which Voodoo Fest has now kind of kept that thing going. But man, again, you talked about CPR Fest and the lineups.
Yeah.
I was going to go to, I think when they started putting Voodoo Fest on Halloween, right? I remember the first one, I think, was 50 Cent went and did it. And then it was just a bad idea. Like nobody went and it just started to go straight down. But Voodoo Fest, I look at the lineup and I'm like, there's 700 people here and I want to see one. I want to see one person for like 3 songs. I'm not going.
Yeah. So, hey,
that ends up being most fests though.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately.
But here I was excited from beginning to end, no matter who was up there, at least a song or 2 from each one. Anyways.
Right. But yeah, that's a cool pick, man. That's Staind.
Definitely.
That's that same era-ish of the CPR Fest that I talked about. Saliva just seems like they just jumped on every festival.
Click,
They
boom.
got nothing else to do. Put us on this festival. We're just that festival band. But man, good stuff. Eller, we're gonna move on to your TJ Jazzy Jeff. Interesting to see where we're gonna go from here. We started out with some ska. Where are we moving to?
All right, so I'm actually going to follow Kirk's lead here. So my TJ Jazzy Jeff is going to be Hangout Fest 2014. That was 3 days of crazy fun in the sun and not drinking enough water. So the lineup for this fest, all right, it's all over the place, but it's like 2 of my favorite bands of all time I got to see. So the only reason it's number 3 and not, further up the list is because, how festivals are. It's like they only get like 20 to 30 minutes of playtime. Like you don't actually get the full concert experience. You're just getting snippets of a bunch of bands, you know? And Hangout Fest is one of those like festivals like notorious for just like so many bands with not enough set time. So that's why it's down further on my list than it would be, But so lineup is the Avett Brothers, Andrew WK, Portugal the Man, Childish Gambino, Queens of the Stone Age. That's one of my favorite bands.
There you go.
Black Keys, Outkast, and this is like when Outkast had gone away for a while, and this is like one of their first shows back. And then my favorite, The Killers, which was incredible. Holy cow! And it was nighttime. They had the light show and like
awesome.
Oh, so good. It was like I can't like I think about that show all the time because The Killers are one of my favorite bands. You know what I mean? Great. So it's just like such a good time, and it was like all like my other close friends that weren't in the band. So it was like you got like your like different friend circles and whatnot, but it was like Brett and Chris and Anthony and all those guys. And we all just spent the entire weekend on the beach, man. It was great. And we brought our bicycles and we had a beach house and we were going back and forth on our bikes. So it was just a really fun weekend.
And bonus points for Hangout Fest for the venue. I mean, literally like festivals, like so Voodoo Fest when I would go to it, or like CBR Fest. It's just like, it's outside, whatever. Like CBR Fest was close to the beach, but Hangout Fest is on the beach. Like how cool is it that everything's right there? And it's that Gulf Shores area. It's a really cool, like obviously touristy, but a lot of really cool things to do there. So I never got to go to Hangout Fest.
Me either.
There was a couple lineups that I did see, and I think that was one of them that I was interested in. Just never really got around to doing it, but great pick, man. That's the thing you say with the festivals. Not only is it short set times, but literally you have every genre of music.
Exactly. Yeah.
Think of like at this one concert, which is pretty cool too. So it's got a little bit of something for everyone. So, man, great.
It's funny. I'm just going to elaborate a little more. So I wasn't gonna go. Like I really wanted to go see the Killers, but they added Queens of the Stone Age at the last minute, I think, and that was the deciding factor for me to go. And then when Queens of the Stone Age played, there was something wrong with their sound guy. So they were playing, but the vocalist, his mic wasn't working. So they were playing songs and he was trying to sing, and finally he just knocked the microphone over and just started playing and then singing out into the crowd.
That's awesome. Then everybody started singing for him, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, so me and Brett were like super excited to go see him. We walk up and we like, and I was like, this kind of sounds like garbage, and I'm really disappointed now. So like we stayed for like 2 songs and then we bailed, which was a bummer.
Yeah, and that's a shame too. You go to concerts sometimes, because I've been to ones similar to that, not the festival necessarily, but when the sound is bad, it really
ruins the whole experience,
the whole thing, because you're like, what are you guys doing? And you guys, Eller, you know, we've been in a band together. Sound guys are always my favorite people. So
yeah.
I know Brett's got some stories about that too.
You just gotta point it. You point at the.
Yeah.
Need more on the left. Need more on the
I don't
right.
know what you're
Come
saying.
on, up. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So hey, cool pick. Hangout Fest 2014. I like that. Pick a lot. So we're halfway through our mountains here, man. We're halfway through the Rushmores, and we are moving on to Link. For my Link, my number 2, switching up some genres here, man. I've been on the rock side of things lately, but I cannot deny how great of a performer this guy is. His concert. So my number 1, for those that know me, is not really going to come as a shocker of who it is, but this guy here, if it wasn't for my bias for my number 1, has a strong shot of George. And it is one of the greatest concerts I've ever been to and probably ever will be to. I'm talking about none other than Garth Brooks. Bro, his concert, it is like, it's insane. It's like sensory overload, man. There's so many cool things that are happening when he's performing. He's running around the stage like a madman, right? Like, he's not young, like but he's running around like crazy. Every one of Garth Brooks' songs, I don't care who you are and how much you know music, you know the words to every Garth Brooks song. It's just like, it happens, like, it's just ingrained in humans.
He's the journey of country music.
It's so crazy. Like, everyone, and then you hear his music and you're like, does this dude put out a song that isn't a hit and isn't fantastic? It's so crazy. But there's like songs where like he'll just drop the mic and let the crowd sing, and I can think of like Unanswered Prayers was one of those, and like me scanning the audience and seeing everybody's lighter or cell phone, just a really cool moment there. I can't, like, Callin' Baton Rouge, when that one happens, the whole crowd goes insane, man. And then of course, Blame It All on My Roads. Like,
oh, dude,
when that song starts, and it's one of the songs too we talked about in episode 1, song intros, that could easily make it today. One note on that acoustic guitar, you're like, take me away. Like, I'm there. Right? And, man, that show was insane. We got to go to that concert. A lot of fun. The one thing I do remember as being kind of a little bit of a bummer about the concert was that the people in front of us were like not as excited as I was, you know? So it's like, I felt like I was like, am I going too crazy? Like, there's like 2 older people sitting in front of us, just like, this is a good show. I like it. Like, what are you doing?
There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than the person that's sitting behind you that don't want you to stand up.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like,
can you sit back down?
Right.
You're at a concert.
Yeah. I'm not watching a movie. Like, I'm here as part of this, right? So Garth Brooks concert, man, his drummer has like this huge like orb metal structure around him, and it like spins, and there's pyro, and there's a guy playing fiddle. Like, dude, it is the craziest experience if you have not gotten to see Garth Brooks. Now, I didn't get to go see him when he came recently to LSU's stadium, which I heard like set off earthquakes in Baton Rouge, right? Like, just insanity. And I can imagine that. But man, if you haven't had a chance, go see Garth Brooks. Great show. One of the greatest showmen up front. I don't know if you call him a front person. He's the guy, right? But like, just performers of all time. He's fantastic. You guys like Garth Brooks?
Yeah. So let me jump in here. Full disclosure. I was putting out my bands, and there was about 5 concerts. I think 5, maybe 4. That literally for my whole life, I said I went to this concert and I never went. And Garth Brooks was one of them, because all my friends went and I heard about it. And it was like a core memory, but I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, I did not go to that. Right. But I've always told people I have. And that is one of them. But I loved Garth Brooks, and I was so upset I couldn't go. So I think I just like started telling people I went, like that Rude got on the rope and goes over everybody and all this stuff. And but anyways, but obviously I'm in here in Atlanta when they came this last time, and I really almost thought about coming back home to see it because it's one of those things. It's like I've always said I went, and I know it's going to be amazing. But you mentioned, has he put one out that is not a hit? Well, I would say that's probably during his Chris Gaines.
Chris Gaines, yeah. He didn't play any Chris Gaines songs. Right.
So during his emo rock time. But I love Garth Brooks. No Fences is probably on the Rushmore of CDs that I had. Yeah. So again, there's not one song on there that I don't like. And I'm not a huge country fan. And I've only really been to one country concert, and that one is probably.
He supersedes just country music.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's much of a rock star in the country music scene as there ever will be. Right? Like he is. It's like he's his own thing. It's his own genre. It's still country music.
It's just Garth Brooks.
It's just there's country music and there's Garth Brooks. Like I mean, it's crazy. It's fantastic. One of the greatest concerts I've ever. I'm so glad I got to go to that one. So that's my that is my link.
Solid pick, dude.
All right, Kirk, it is time for you to let the people know what is your link, your number 2 concert that you have ever been to. I'm excited for this one. What you got?
I am super excited about this one. It is, it's one of my favorite that I've been to, obviously, but there are some really great moments for this one. It's the I remember the people I went with, my best friend Rudy, my nephew Kyle. We met up with my buddy of mine Josh, and this was the first time that my nephew ever got drunk, and that was just an awful an awful time as well. You know, you always mix these different weird things with the situation. As a matter of fact, I think he's never drank since.
One and done.
We went to a concert. This was in the arena, and it was December 2nd, 2000. And it was the opening band, or not band, I guess, group was DMX.
Wow.
Right? And then the middle show, none other than Sully and Godsmack.
Wow.
And the headliner was Limp Bizkit.
Come on.
Let's go.
No way, dude.
You just explained the year 2000.
Dude, in a nutshell, dude.
Yeah. This was just so much fun. So a part of the whole thing is the experience, right? And so my nephew, he gets drunk, and so all of DMX, he's like sleeping in my lap. So I have to be that guy and sit down. I have to sit down and watch DMX. So they're like, party up. And I'm, and then Godsmack happens, and he kind of like leans over. So I get to and as soon as Limp Bizkit hit, he's jumping up like crazy, like got a second wind. But Limp Bizkit was awesome. At that time, they were the thing. Those 2 albums they put out, that new metal was the thing.
Yeah.
Them, Linkin Park, those kind of Executioners, those kind of guys were just like, it was all over everything mainstream. And I loved Fred Durst. I mentioned back in Guitarist, I had Wes in the Guitarist, and then one of the coolest parts about this that I remember was DJ Lethal, right? So DJ Lethal was the guy that did all the mixing for him. He moonwalked on his knees down the stage, and it looked like Michael Jackson moonwalking on his feet, right? And we were all like, wow, how is he doing that? I was like, but it was just a great show. And then towards the end, they all kind of came out. Not always do they do this, like where a conglomerate of like people come out and kind of sing after the stage is over. They kind of go and get ready and, do whatever they do. But DMX came out and sung with Limp Bizkit. So he came back out and sung. I don't remember which song it was, but he came out and did that. It was just a great, great show. And a lot of really cool memories. And what it just brings me back to that setting of time where I was brand new in the military, single, just kind of living a fun party-ish life and like not a care in the world. And those are the kind of nostalgic moments that I always like to go back to. Just now, we talk about haven't been to a concert in a while, you know, all of the pressures of life. That was just a time where I didn't really care about much of anything as long as I went to work and had enough to pay my bills and go out and hang out with my friends. And so, so number 2, my link is going to be none other than Limp Bizkit.
Dude, I'm so glad you picked that. You're kind of giving off a little Fred Durst vibes right now.
Right, too. Well, I needed my red hat. I needed my red hat, right? I was going to rock it.
Yeah.
But,
funny story with Limp Bizkit, and Daniel, you can relate to this too. Being in a band together, I mean, we would spend time methodically writing a song, original songs, and you know, a lot of our stuff was really good. Like, it was just, there's a lot that went into it. And, you know, you'd play shows and like your friends support it, right? I don't think anybody was ever really like, dude, that song blew my mind. And I'm not saying we wrote like Hey Jude or anything, right? Like we, you know, like, we didn't write this masterpiece, but we did put a lot of work into it. But we would, every now and then we would cover a song. And the second we hit the notes to Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, they lost their mind. They went crazy.
Dude.
And it's the simplest, dumbest song ever.
Yeah. Just one of those days.
Right. We played that song and I felt like I was on top of the world. Like we were just
like a rock star.
We were rock stars. We played.
Dude, I'm telling you what though, those guys were on top of the world until Wes decided they were too mainstream and left. And then that next album was just garbage.
So, hey, good times, man. Like I said, what you said was the year 2000. You throw like Britney Spears in there and that's it.
Here we go.
Beanie Babies. I don't know what else makes it more 2000s than.
I got another year 2000 coming.
Oh, goodness.
Here we go.
So, Eller, let's move to you. What you got for your link, your number 2?
All right. For my link, man, it's a show I saw back in October, November time frame of this year, you know?
Oh, nice.
All right. So my link is I got to go see Bad Religion and Alkaline Trio.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. I was in correctional officer school for in Virginia because I work at the brig now in the Navy. That's my shore duty. So I was in Virginia by myself, you know, I was just staying at a hotel. I just happened to be kind of cruising the was it Bands in Town app? It's amazing. If you don't have it, check it out. It's great. And it just said, it was like, cool, tonight, 7:00. You know, I was like, all right, cool. I like Alkaline Trio. And then I just like looked again and I was like, Bad Religion. Holy cow. I'm going, you know, like Bad Religion, Alkaline Trio, like Andy knows this, huge punk guy. Any punk music, period, hands down. That's like my favorite genre of music. I love it so much. But yeah, nobody in my class wanted to go with me. So I said, screw it. And then hopped in my car, drove 30 minutes down to, was it the Norva? That's what the venue was. Super intimate. It's kind of like, One-Eyed Jacks. I was going to say House of Blues, but it's more like One-Eyed Jacks, where it's just kind of like the stage and then the bar and then that's it. You know what I mean? Bad Religion, bunch of old dudes.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, are they in wheelchairs? What are they like? What are they doing now?
As old as those dudes are, put on the best show. Running around on stage, like the guitars look like the Crypt Keeper, man, but like still just shredding and, you know, going crazy. And then the singer's like just like your cool old uncle, you know what I mean?
Right. Wow.
And then Alkaline Trio kind of bummed me out because Matt Skiba had like laryngitis or something like that. So the bassist was singing most of the songs, and then whenever Matt would kind of get like a second wind, he would sing a little bit, but like you could tell like something was wrong with his voice. But like Alkaline Trio played every song I wanted to hear, you know?
Yeah.
Same with Bad Religion. Like and it was crazy because like I don't like going to shows by myself because I always feel awkward. You know, you would go there and it's like more fun to go with a friend. But I was like, all right, man, I'm stuck in this hotel. I'm going. This is the show.
That's cool. Man.
I had a great time.
Hey, cool pick. I like that.
All right, man. We're at the George. Old Georgie.
George.
G-Dub, man. What's okay, Andy. Top of the mountain. This has to be an epic show.
Yeah, and I mentioned it before. For those that know me, this doesn't come as a shock of what the best concert was. The only thing I had to think about is which time that I saw them was I going to rank as my number 1. But I had to do it. I'm going to go with the first time I ever saw them, and I'm going with Kiss, of course. Kiss,
yes.
Voodoo Fest, 2009 was the first time I saw them. Okay. Now, since then, I've seen them twice. Eller, we went to a show. Did you go to that show? The free show?
No, I never got to see Kiss with you. I had to
go
work,
that one.
remember?
Dude, I really tried to get you to go that one. I think that's what it was. So, no, Dennis went. That's what it was. Dennis went with me. So we went and saw them for free. They came because like the Final Four was in New Orleans and they had like a show that
Dude,
they were.
That was like, it was like Kiss, Black Keys, Weezer, right?
No, Black Keys
not
and
Weezer.
Cowboy Mouth.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, Cowboy Mouth was there. So I saw them then, and then I saw them again on like their 95th farewell tour that they did. But I'm going to go back. The concert I'm picking, 2009 Voodoo Fest, first time I ever saw them. Again, it's that festival feel. But again, festivals, you get the little snippets of time. They gave Kiss the whole show. Like,
right.
Kiss was on this main stage. And I remember there's a few things about this show that obviously, growing up a big Kiss fan, having Gene Simmons tattooed on my body, like, it was a moment of like full circle. I got to see Kiss, right? And it was just such a cool moment. But in that too, I remember like walking around all day and going and checking out bands, because Voodoo Fest is another one of those like Hangout Fest where it's like there's on this stage there's a guy playing a mandolin and singing like ancient folk music, and then there's there's 50 Cent, right? And like what? There's everything you can think of. There's all the local like brass bands and different things like that too. But I do remember just walking around all day and just not. I went there for Kiss, like there was no doubt about it. But the other band that was on the bill that I really wanted to go see was George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic.
This is
George Clinton.
George Clinton
Parliament Funkadelic.
and a Parliament Funkadelic.
Right?
Yeah.
But this dude was an idiot, whoever booked this show and selected time slots, they played at the same time. Why was P-Funk playing the same time Kiss played on the main stage? It was the worst idea ever. And I was bummed, but of course I'm going to go pick Kiss. I'm not going to, if I got to
You're not going to split your time.
Right. No, I'm not going to do that. I do remember at this Voodoo Fest, there was 2 main stages. There was like, I guess it just made breakdown and setup a little bit easier between bands. And on the other end, I know, Kirk, we're not doing an more here, but one of my least favorite bands of all time played on that right before Kiss, and it was Jane's Addiction. Can't stand that band.
I love Jane's Addiction.
I know you do. I know that's whatever, but Jane says I can't get into
that song's not that great.
That's the only song that I think of. But anyway, as I'm moving on, they played like way down, and I was like kind of like halfway watching them from yards and yards and yards and yards away, like forever away. Felt like a mile away from them because I was just ready, and I had my spot to see Kiss. And let me tell you, when they came on, they have the curtain up, it drops. Big explosion. Gene Simmons starts singing Deuce. It is one of the coolest moments of my life. Courtney has pictures of me. Like, she snuck pictures of me. I'm like a little kid, like just glowing. Like, nothing else in the world mattered at that moment. Nothing. I was locked in, singing every song. I do remember the thing that ticked me off was that there was this group, like whoever we were standing around, right? They just didn't know Kiss. Like they didn't really, they were there to like, they didn't know the songs. And I felt like I knew every lyric to every song. And it's like Rock and Roll All Night came on and they're all about it. But it was like every other song. I'm like, you need to be singing too. Like,
wait, was it like the Family Guy? When she's like, when Lois is like, have a wonderful time.
And have a wonderful time. Is that it? Oh, no, it's and something all day, right?
Oh man, I've lost all faith in mankind. Music is dead to me now.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was like, anyway, that was the one thing that I just was like, whatever, I'm going to let it be. But great time. I do remember it being so ridiculously muddy. It rained before, and even if it had rained 2 days before, the amount of people that are just walking through all that, it's not going to not be muddy. So it just, the worst mud pit ever. My feet were stained with mud, but it was, A week or so after that, I'm just on cloud nine. Like, I just saw Kiss. And that's enough for my George. But Kirk, let's hear. What is your number one? You mentioned you've been to close to 50 concerts until you lost count. So this has got to be a great one. What is your number one concert you have ever been to?
So we had mentioned beforehand, try and keep this thing PG, right? Right.
Well, talked about a couple stories so far that
a couple stories. This is all before Christ. So, like, we all know my testimony. I was not always a great person or a pastor or a lead, but at this time, I had just kind of gotten in the military. I just got stationed back home, and me and my nephew again. So my nephew was 5 years younger than me, FYI. So at this time, I guess he was like 16, maybe 15, and he. And I went to this concert, and it was properly named. It was properly named the Up in Smoke Tour.
No way.
2000. It was Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, D12, Nate Dogg, Warren G, Corrupt, the Dog Pound, and surprise, because Snoop Dogg was in No Limit at the time, when he came out and sung, C Murder and some of the No Limit folks came out and sung with him. And it was, dude, as soon as you walked in the building, you were trying to avoid that contact high. It was impossible. It was impossible. And I was in the military at the time, was so nervous that I was going to get popped for this random drug test. I'm getting high because of the guys, I'm in the building, right? And the lady next to me, I remember it distinctly. She had a cigarette pack, and she opened up her cigarette pack, and there were no cigarettes in it. It was all like joints, and was like, "You want one? Y'all don't have one." And I was like, no. But this was by far the best show. And, this past Super Bowl, they came out and they're all old timers, and, they got razzed about it a little bit, but it reminded me of this show. This show was just so amazing. The intro to the show was insane. So Snoop's talking, and actually you can go look online, but it is not PG. It's not PG, but Snoop's talking to Dre, and that you realize they're in apartment. They're in like motel rooms across from each other in the hall, but they're talking like they're cities apart, and they meet each other, and they go down to the local store to go behind it to get stuff that's not supposed to be sold in the store. And they come in the back, and the place is getting robbed, and both of them save the store from the guy robbing it with their own guns and things. But the crazy part is they're like talking to the screen about after they get this guy and whatever, and they're like, "What do y'all want me to do with him? Do you want me to pop him?" or whatever Snoop was. And as soon as the gunshot goes off, the music goes up, and they walk out the front door, and the front door to the store was the backdrop of the stage. And it was insane. When they came out, the garage door went up. That was a part of the store, and the Cadillac come out bouncing, and they were all on top of it. It was just, the show was ridiculous. And it was the first time I saw Eminem. I've seen him 3 times. It was the first time I saw him with D12. That was crazy. This is like a dream tour if you like hip hop. The only way it could have been better is if maybe like Biggie and Tupac were there, right? And then they did that thing at Coachella where Tupac was the hologram, and everybody thought they were going to do that at Super Bowl. That would have been the only way that this thing would have been better if you like that style of music. Honestly, I could have done without all of the extracurricular activity that was happening in the building, because at that time I was freaking out.
I'm freaking out, man. You are freaking out, man.
I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't done this in years before I joined the military. Don't want to do this ever again. And I'm like, please don't pop me. Please don't pop me. But it was just a great concert from beginning to end. They had this big skull that was in there, and he was like talking in between shows. The skull was like talking to all the fans, and, they were all messed up. So I know they had to be freaking out. Yeah. But just a great show. it's just one of those memorable times that I'll never see that lineup again. I'll never see those type of folks. I know it's not rock as far as a concert goes. And I honestly, I've never been to a whole lot of hip hop stuff anyways, but unless they were at a rock concert. And so really cool just to see what they did, the show and how they put it together. So Up in Smoke Tour, 2000, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, and Eminem was the headline. So
cool. Yeah, I can tell you at that time I was not going to those concerts. I was not. That was not going to be my. I used to, man. I was so closed off to music styles, and it had to be metal or nothing else, kind of thing. But I can appreciate it. I can appreciate it. Sounds like an eventful time, I guess. Is what
sure was.
So Eller, you're going to close it out for us.
All right.
George, your number one concert. This is another one. I'm excited. We've been concert buddies for a while. You've gone to a lot of other ones too. Excited to hear. What is your number one concert?
All right. So my George literally happened in May of this year.
Nice.
Yeah. Best concert I've ever been to this year. All right. So I just moved to Jacksonville from, New Hampshire. And Jacksonville's only like 7.5 hours away from New Orleans. All right. 10 hours away from Lafayette. And Brett and David Finn and Chris Torres, everybody was going. All right. So they were going to Lamb of God, Trivium, Megadeth, and In Flames. And they're like, we got tickets. We're going to go. And I was like, all right, cool. That's 3 of my favorite metal bands of all time. All right. And Lamb of God's number 1. So that's why it's my George,
Right.
Dude, drove. All right. So I worked all day on Thursday and the concert was Friday. I worked all night. Took like an hour nap on the couch right before I got off work. And then I drove from Jacksonville to Lafayette and then got there around like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And the show started at like 7. So I had like no sleep. I was like jacked on energy drinks. And then we just roll into the show, man. And when I tell you it is, Lamb of God puts on one of the best performances ever. Okay. And they were co-headlining with Megadeth. So they had they both had the long sets. In Flames opened the show. Incredible. I don't know if you're a big In Flames fan, Andy.
I liked them. High school time. Yeah, they were cool.
But then Trivium played, and Trivium.
There you go.
Holy cow, dude! Opened up with their new song, was it Court of the Dragon, and it was just like all lights and pyro and all that stuff. It was super cool. Not pyro. They didn't have pyro, but just like a bunch of cool light shows and everything like that. And they played all the hits, and Matt Heafy's running around being a goober, just like flexing and shredding. And it was like so much fun. Like I had like a blast watching them. And then Lamb of God played. Blew my mind. They had a big old drum riser or a big old like stage riser with big old fire cannons on it. And when I say they played every song that I wanted to hear, like it's literally, if they had a greatest hits record, that's what they played. It was incredible, dude. Just like pyro, just boom, 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 and you could feel the heat. And it was like my first like old man concert, because we were in a stadium and we had seats, and like I was like kind of sitting for In Flames, and like I stood up again for Trivium, took a little break, and then for the whole time, like Lamb of God was incredible, dude. Yeah. Like blew me away. And then Megadeth played, which musically they were phenomenal, but Dave Mustaine, he's getting up there in age, and was not super impressed with him vocally. Yeah. But their show was incredible because they had the big LED panels, and they were playing like all sorts of cool like graphics and like bombs and stuff like that, know, and then the Megadeth logo every once in a while. And then out of nowhere, this door opens up, and this big dude on stilts, and it's just Vic Rattlehead, their mascot, comes out, and he's like just messing with the guitarist and the bassist, and they're like fighting him. It's like they're like ripping off Iron Maiden, but it was a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, like that was probably the most fun I had at a show in a while, and it's probably just because I'd never seen Lamb of God. This is my first time seeing him, and they just blew me away. Dude,
in all of that time, this is the first time you'd seen Lamb of God? That's crazy.
I know, dude. Wow. I never got to go.
Wow.
I was always working, remember? And like I worked at Starbucks, so I always had to get up at like 3 a.m. So I wasn't going to go to shows with you guys and then come to work the next day.
You're right. You probably played shows and went to work the next day. That was...
Oh, yeah. Plenty of times. But that was my other job.
Yeah, cool choice, man. That really shows a little bit of the difference between all of us. I mean, obviously, Kiss, Lamb of God, Eminem. I mean, they're all close, right?
They might play a festival together.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So look, let's jump in real quick and just kind of throw some honorable mentions out, because I mean, I know I can throw out a bunch, and I really want to just share with you guys some other concerts I've been to that were just phenomenal. We talked a lot about festivals, and I've been to several festivals, whether it's Jazz Fest when Mystical was there. Dave Matthews was like always the big thing that everybody wanted to see.
Always a Jazz Fest.
always, right? He's kind of like Cowboy Mouth at every other festival. Like
right.
Cowboy Mouth played at every single festival known to man. Def Leppard Journey concert was amazing. The only problem it wasn't on my list was because Perry wasn't the lead singer at the time that I saw them. My Kid Rock, I saw Kid Rock play. He was amazing. Imagine Dragons. Green Day and the Get Up Kids was an amazing concert. Metallica and Down and Sword, I saw that one. That was a good concert, but I saw them way too late because black balloons fell from the top. Like,
I was there. I was at
I know.
that
We
concert.
talked about it. And when these balloons fell, I'm like, bro,
this is not Metallica.
This is not Metallica, right? I'm like, this is not Metallica. So Disturbed, Kill Switch, Engage, and Lacuna Coil. I saw them. That was freaking awesome.
Lacuna Coil.
Now look, here's the two that I really want. Well, a couple other ones. You know, I've been to a bunch of other. Shania Twain and Emerson Drive was the only the only country one I had ever been to. Voodoo Fest, Infest, Jazz Fest, whatever. But here's the two. We were talking about early 2000 type concerts. I got a great one that is on my definitely honorable mention. It's one of the ones that was fighting for that fourth spot. Linkin Park, Mudvayne, Exhibit. I mean, that's Limp Bizkit, Godsmack, and DMX. I mean, same kind of style. Here's the funny part about this concert. A lot of people showed up just to see Exhibit. So all these people come to see Exhibit, and they're taking up the front row and everything. And I bought tickets way up high. I was a poor college student or whatever it was. And so I'm up top, and as soon as the second band came out, which was Mudvayne, played the first note, and I remember they were all painted up and looked like death. And as soon as they played their first note, over half the people left the building, like just rolled out. And so we all moved down front row for Mudvayne and Linkin Park. Great, awesome. Great concert. Mudvayne is just a great band to watch. And Linkin Park, man, Chester put on a show. So that was that one. But then my last one, honorable mention. This is the one that I had to take off and figure out which one. It was the very first concert I'd have ever been to in my life. I was in 8th grade. MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, In Vogue. MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice.
That should have been on your Rushmore, man. That should have been somewhere on there. That's awesome.
So I remember MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, In Vogue. It was during Rocky, and Vanilla or MC Hammer did a song for Rocky, right? And that's before he fell off the map. But and so he sung that song and all that, and then they played the trailer for Rocky over and over and over again. That was my 8th grade, very first concert I ever went to. My sisters, the same ones that brought me to Prince, brought me to that concert. So honorable mentions. Wow. Several others that I could go and list, some house shows and Bag of Donuts and Molly Ringwald's and Nosmo King, which was a cool band. No smoking, Nosmo King. Red. I'm wearing the hat. Red. Saw them in Baton Rouge. It's one of the first time, right when I got saved. I was like, I want to go see some Christian rock. And somebody's like, Red's playing in Baton Rouge. I was like, let's go. And that was in one of those small venues. It was a small venue. Felt like I was right on top of them. Yeah, that was a great concert. So anyways, what's some honorable mentions for you, Andy?
Yeah, so many concerts I went to, really hard to narrow it down. I have a list here. Metallica, that same concert you talked about, was a honorable mention. Great concert. It was really cool to see. I think even some members of Down came out and played with Metallica. Yep. That was pretty cool. I was also on the floor, like 2 people back from the stage. So just a cool.
Oh, that would have been cool. So I was up in kind of the 300s.
With my dad, with my brother. It was a really cool concert. Eller, remember this show? We played with Black Dahlia Murder. We got to open up for them. So just, it was a cool, it was our concert that we played, but then get to see them. But also really one of the best times I ever saw them was at Cypress Hall, the High Ground. They were in this tiny, tiny little venue, dude. Like, and I was right up there front row. And this singer, rest in peace, just passed away recently. His fat, sweaty belly was no shirt in my face.
Rub it on your face.
We're just like, yeah, let's get it. He's got a heartburn tattoo right across his belly. So that was a great concert, great experience there. I know it doesn't sound like it. Elton John, we went and saw.
I know it didn't sound like it.
We went and saw Elton John at the Baton Rouge River Center. Really cool. Dude, when he hits notes on that piano, you feel it in your soul. I don't know how to explain it. It was just a great concert. Rush almost made mine.
No, I thought that was going to be on your list.
Gosh, actually, it's going to sound like sacrilegious or whatever, but I replaced them with Go Radio just because of the personal tie into that. Rush was fantastic. I mean, to be in the same room when Neil Peart does a drum solo, life is complete, right? Like, it was just it's so great.
But the fact that nobody's going to be able to hear him live again.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I got to see him. They don't have to be on an impossible bucket list for me.
Right.
We went and saw Paramore at the Sanger Theater. Really,
I almost went to that.
They are fantastic live. Haley Williams is just bonkers. She goes crazy.
Phenomenal vocalist. Like
insane.
Unreal.
So underrated. Great one. There was this venue called the Sugar Mill in New Orleans. Coheed and Cambria and Killswitch Engage played together, and it was crazy. Killswitch made, so if you've been to this venue, there's like these pillars like in the middle, like holding the building up, right? Mm-hmm. They had a circle pit around 2 or 3 different of those pillars, and they directed it to do that. Great concert, awesome time. Coheed is crazy. That same venue, we saw Collective Soul, super fun to watch live. They played with Live, which has the worst band name ever because they suck live. They're horrible.
I've heard that. I've heard they were terrible.
Well, I don't know if they're bad live, but when you pair them with Collective Soul is just like dancing and having
blowing them out of the water, dude.
And then Live is that they're like, hi, hello, love. It's like dark and it sucks. So that was a great concert. I went to Ozfest. I don't remember what year it was, but it was
never got to do that.
It was free. This year they made Ozfest free. I don't know if you remember this. It was crazy. We went to San Antonio. Crazy thing there. We got there early in the morning. My dad and my brother, again, we went and we said, we're going to be first in line. We're going to skip breakfast. We're going to skip everything. We were basically like 5th or 6th in line. So the gates open. We rush the stage. Don't go get waters. We're watching like Hatebreed or somebody on like one of the smaller stages. And my brother passes out. They have to lift him over the barricade. And basically heat exhaustion, right? So they got him water. He was cool. Everything was fine. So super hot. It's like San Antonio in August. I mean, it's stupid.
Oh, no.
Outdoors. You know what I mean? Like, it's the worst thing ever. Hey, Lamb of God, you mentioned before. I saw them at the Cajun Dome way back, though, with Children of Bodom. So that was a pretty cool concert, too. Children of Bodom was crazy Swedish metal.
Was that Children of Bodom and As I Lay Dying? Was that same show?
As I Lay Dying. Yeah. It was a super awesome concert there. I went to the House of Blues and I saw Amon Amarth, if you've never heard of them, Viking metal band. And one of the coolest moments of my life to this day, we're like right up there front stage. And House of Blues New Orleans, tiny venue, right? And I got to fist bump their singer and it was like the coolest moment. Like they literally have like the horns out and whole Viking thing. Really cool concert. Eller, we went and saw Volbeat and Cold, and we've shared this story plenty of times. Everyone was there to see Cold. I don't know why. They were to see them and they left. So we're like, all right, we're going to move up front.
We ran to the front of the stage, dude. We were there.
There was like 15 people watching Volbeat. It was the weirdest thing ever, man. And they put on a killer show. And
they're so good, man.
They've never been to New Orleans since because
never again.
Obvious reasons. Then also the House of Blues. I remember this moment. I went and saw Cannibal Corpse. Me and Dennis.
Wow.
Crazy story. Back then, if you would eat, and they may do it now still, I haven't been there in a while. If you would eat at the restaurant and have your receipt, you got to get into the venue first. So we went and ate early there. We're sitting down. There's no one else in this restaurant, right? It's like 3:00. Why would you be there? They walk in. Corpse Grinder, the singer, walks in.
The neck.
Sitting at the bar. They're sitting at the bar just chatting. Me and Dennis, beeline. We run to his van, right? The murder van. Eller, you remember the murder van. We crazy backstory. Nobody was murdered. But we get our demo, and we're these crazy. We hand Cannibal Corpse our horrible demo, like worst thing.
Volatile?
Yes, our volatile demo. And we're like, hey man, I just want to hand you this. Like, never do that, okay? And listen, his name is Corpse Grinder. He sings for Cannibal Corpse. His neck is the size of Texas. He was the nicest guy I've ever met. He was like, dude,
I've only heard good things.
I really appreciate you guys doing this. I'm so glad you guys are going to come to the show tonight. I really hope you guys are safe and you just have a great time. Like, what? And then he gets on stage. Like, it's the craziest thing ever. And again, it's a story tied to it. So I have a million more I can share, but that's just a glimpse into my honorable mentions. Eller, I know you've got some.
Iceberg.
Yeah.
Dude. No, I got a bunch, man. So Volbeat is on that list just because we had such a good time, and it felt like they were just playing for me, you, and Courtney. Like, right. That was it, dude. It was crazy, right? Volbeat was playing for us, dude. It was so awesome, and like they were like one of my favorite bands just because I love rockabilly and like Elvis and all that stuff's like big for me, you know. So It's like Metallica and Elvis had a baby, and I was like, boom, Volbeat, let's go, you know. Yeah. So definitely on there. So this was tied for first for me. I got to go see the Big 3 tour. So it was Slayer, Anthrax, and Megadeth. Metallica wasn't there, you know. So I was working at this pizza restaurant at the time. I'm not gonna name them, but they hooked me up with backstage passes because it was a Jägermeister tour, and they knew the Jaeger rep or whatever. So we got like backstage passes, got like meet and greets, and like free like drink tickets and everything like that. And it was like it was me, Dennis, Jason, and Billy. We all got to meet Slayer and like take pictures.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. Yeah, it was so cool.
It was right before Jeff Hanneman passed away.
Yeah.
You know, and like that was the time I had the red mohawk. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was tied for first for me, just because like I didn't really know Anthrax or Slayer that well, you know, but I really was going for Megadeth, and then Anthrax ended up being my favorite part of that whole show. You know. So
cool.
Invigorated my love for Anthrax. Alien Ant Farm at
cool.
Southport, dude. And it wasn't like when they were big. It was, I think it was like maybe 2 years, or a year before I joined the Navy. So probably like 14 or 15, you know, 2014, 2015. And they were not happy to be there. It was Alien Ant Farm and Head PE.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But in 2014. So it's not like peak, you know, but it was like, they were like, all right, we'll play Southport. And then like the singer of Alien Ant Farm was just like so depressed to be there. He was just so unenthused.
That was the decade too late tour, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. That's what they called it. But yeah, I just remember I went with Jesse. It was me and Jesse Clark, and we were just so bummed out that Alien Ant Farm was very lackluster, but it was still cool to see him do like Movies and Smooth Criminal. Like those are like just bangers, man.
Right. Absolutely.
What else? I had a whole list. I went and saw The Sword at the Spanish Moon, and that show was crazy. It was like me, Dennis Javis, Billy, and we went like, it was like a 9 or 10 o'clock show. It was like late, you know? So like this is when I lived in Roberts. So they came and picked me up and we went to Baton Rouge, and it was like The Sword, and I think a band called like Gypsy Hawk or something like that. It was like a whole bunch of those like stoner rock bands or whatever.
Yeah.
The Sword was phenomenal. And it was the craziest experience. There was this dude, like he was probably in his like 50s, like late 50s. And he was wearing like a tuxedo, had like a derby hat on, a weird goofy mustache. And he's just bouncing around the pit. And I'm like, this dude's way too old to be moving like this. And he keeps bouncing into this couple and spilling their drinks. And the dude and the couple like turns around and just shoves this guy into me. And like, I wasn't paying attention. And as soon as I turned my head, just boom, clocks me right in the eye. And like, I black out for a second. And I'm just like pawing at Javis and Dennis, trying to like catch myself as I'm picking up, you know. I had a black eye for like a week after that. It was great. But yeah, The Sword's one of my favorite, you know, jam rock bands like that. So I that was definitely a good time. Going with what you said with the Up in Smoke tour, I got to go see Primus in Hawaii, and they were playing their new album, like that weird Goblin thing. I don't know if you guys keep up with Primus, but their newest album, they played it in its entirety, and then they played like all like
Les Claypool was on my bassist.
Incredible, yeah. He's unreal. That dude's the best bassist.
Not the best vocalist.
Bass. A slap of the bass.
Best vocalist of all time, but you know, hey,
no, it's definitely an acquired taste.
He's got a stick, you know. Yeah. That's a part of it. The hat, the glasses. I mean, he looks like he's supposed to fly an airship in an role playing game or something.
Yeah, he needs a scarf with the leather hat.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, dude, like me and my buddy walked in. We're both like, we were like on the ship. Like we were like, I think we were going out to sea in like a week. That's why we were going to see Primus. And dude, we walk in and it's just like, boom, hits you in the face. And we were like, I'm like, dude, I was like, I swear to God, dude. I was like, if I get kicked out of the Navy, I'd only been on the boat for like, I don't know, maybe 4 months at the time. I was like, I had just gotten stationed. I was like, gosh, dude, I was like, I might get in so much trouble if I, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, Primus was great. And then every time I saw Black Dahlia Murder, like they put on the best show. Rest in peace, Trevor. You know.
Yeah, super fun show, man. They were
just such nice guys.
Interactive with the crowd, nice people. Yeah, like just when we played the show with them, they like hung out with us a little bit. Like,
how'd that happen?
I don't even know. to be honest, like how
I think it was just Dennis knowing people.
It was Dennis.
Honestly,
Dennis booked all of our shows. I didn't do anything for booking, like at all. We just
and I think we played like Battle of the Bands at the hangar before, right?
Yeah,
so they knew we had some kind of following.
Yeah, we had friends. I mean,
we didn't have a fan base. We had a friend base.
Right. So, man, great shows, great concerts. And,
those sound like tons of great memories, man. I have a vast array of music taste, and so I mean, whether it's metal to rap to hip hop, even there was a time where I was into techno and that kind of thing and wanting to go to raves, and then country for a time or two. And then, I even when I first started like getting saved, I tried to listen to a bunch of Christian music, and honestly, I just usually fall back to the classic rock station. I'm just going to listen to classic rock, and now 80s and early 90s rock is a part of classic rock. So I can dig it. So
I've heard Switchfoot on the classic rock station.
Dude,
so that's where we're at now.
That's where we're at.
It's happening in life. We're all getting older. Just happened. So, hey, that was a fantastic Rushmore, man. Great trip down memory lane. I love it. But we are going to do a second segment. With all the concerts we've been to, right, there's still concerts we have not, or artists we have not had a chance to see. So we decided today we wanted to give you kind of our bucket list top 4 concerts that we would like to go. So let's kick the bucket list here.
All right, Rushmore Show. It is our second segment time. Hopefully you've hung around with us till the end. You've heard all of our concerts. And now what we kind of thought was cool, there's so many concerts that we've missed, so many concerts that we want to see, so many concerts that maybe people have passed away. And, Andy mentioned he got to see Neil Peart. And I mean, there's certain people that we want to be at. And so I thought it'd be a great idea if we could build just like we did in baseball, super band. This is going to be the super concert, the Rushmore super concert. Who are the 4 bands? Now, most of us are all going to pick headliners, so I don't know who would open and who would close and who would do all that. But if these are the 4 bands showing up, you want to be there pre-show, right? You want to stay afterwards. You're buying the big tickets to get backstage. Who are the 4 bands or artists or group that you want to be a part of? So that's where we're going to go with our bucket list Rushmore super band. So Andy, I'll let you jump in.
Yeah. Okay.
So 4 bands in one show, festival style, indoors, whatever, small venue. Most of these bands are not going to fit in a small venue, especially if they're all there. Who are you bringing? Who you bringing?
Yeah.
Who you bringing to the venue?
Imagine this, Bill. Okay, imagine this. This is not happening in a small venue. There's zero, it's stupid.
You need Rio de Janeiro, the beach.
Right. This is what you need the largest concert venue you could possibly think of. And I'm not putting them in any specific order because I don't know how you would do an opener and a closer to this one. This would be a shared headlining 4-way kind of thing. But I'm going to give you my bands, okay? Again, we're not limited by alive or dead. Bucket list has always been Foo Fighters. I need to see Foo Fighters.
Knew it was going to be there.
Taylor Hawkins, rest in peace, man. Just recently, passed away, and just such a bummer that I'm not going to be able to see them with Taylor Hawkins. Hopefully, they do continue to tour and put out music and stuff. But it's just Taylor Hawkins is one of the greatest drummers of all time. Fantastic. So they're gonna be on my list. My next one, okay, if you watched my drummers, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Gotta see Chad Smith.
Dude, they're coming next month here in Atlanta.
So by the time, hopefully pretty soon, I can knock them off of this concert because I will have seen them. But Red Hot Chili Peppers, man, just sounds like such a fun band to go see. Really cool, energetic type of band. Now we're going to get crazy. Okay, now we're going to go crazy. This concert has just blown up crazy. My next one, Queen. And I'm talking Freddie Mercury Queen, okay?
Not Adam Lambert, right? Not
Adam
Lambert.
I don't want to see all that. I'm talking original lineup, Queen, to see Freddie Mercury out there. I can't imagine how fantastic and crazy this show would be. And then I'm going to close it out. Again, picking this because of my drummer, but I could have picked any one of these musicians. Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin, to see the original. I'm talking John Bonham, John Paul Jones, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, the whole thing, to see those four together. I have seen a tribute band at Gretna Heritage Fest, and they were really good, but I want to see Zeppelin, right? So my crazy big concert, Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Queen, and Led Zeppelin. Can you imagine the concert ticket?
$575 for the row.
Nosebleeds, yeah.
862.
Right. Yeah.
It's like the Super Bowl of concerts right there.
To be in the next country over, you got to pay $150.
Now look, I'm going to go now. I'm going to go with Neil Peart and Rush because I haven't got to see Rush. I'm going with the Eagles.
Wow.
The Eagles.
Okay.
And then I'm finishing off with two Crushmores, Queen and Led Zeppelin.
Come on. Yeah.
Bro,
it's
super rad, man.
Look,
super rad.
I mean, if these four showed up together, what? Yeah. I've not got to see any of those. I know Eagles has traveled quite a few times and come around and done their thing, and I missed it every time for whatever reason. Led Zeppelin, it pretty much Queen, those guys, the original type band, stopped touring years and years ago like that. And then Rush, I wish I would have even had the wherewithal to think I need to go to this concert because we're not ever going to see this again. Right. But I remember the one you went to happening, and I was like, I don't remember why I didn't go or whatever. But
that was their 40th anniversary. 40 years.
Wrapping my brain around doing playing music for 40 years professionally, that's incredible.
It's insane,
that's a big deal. So that bucket list, that's a huge bucket list. Tickets are insane for that. Obviously, there are a lot of superstars there that are gone. You mentioned Freddie Mercury and those guys. I mean, Neil Peart. I mean, so many people will never be able to see that again. But if it was a bucket list, I would see. And you know what? I'm spoiled and I want to see all the originals, but I would even go to see whoever's filling in. I mean, I just want to get whoever I can see a part of those. But those would be mine. That'd be my Rushmore super
concert. That would be a crazy concert too. Eller, what's your super concert? What's your
all right? So I misunderstood the assignment because I thought it was just time machine bucket list or what No,
let's go.
All right, cool. All right, let's do it. All right, so my four in no particular order is I would love to go see the Ramones at CBGB back in the day in their prime.
Hence the shirt. I love the Ramones.
Exactly. That's why I wore the shirt because that was on my list. All right. And then I want to go see AC/DC with Bon Scott back in the day when they were starting out in little dive bars. That's the AC/DC I want to see, even though they did invent arena rock essentially, but that's the AC/DC I want to see.
Almost.
All right. And then I was kind of on the fence. All right, but you guys definitely swayed my opinion. Definitely, I guess, three-way Crushmore, Zeppelin all day.
Got to, yes.
Yeah, the original lineup.
They
Zeppelin.
have to be.
And then my number one, original lineup of Metallica in Moscow, being in the crowd for Creeping Death. That's my number one.
Yeah.
Ooh, so previous to all the.
You talking Cliff Burton?
Yes, sir.
Yes, come on, Burton.
That's my boy. I'm a bassist, man. Of course I love Cliff Burton.
Didn't Burton make yours, or did he make?
He didn't make.
Burton make your bass, or did he make?
I don't think he made anybody's.
One of them? Did he make Ashley's?
Shame.
No. He was on mine. He was a almost there kind of guy. But
I feel like I saw him a couple times in the comments, probably.
Yeah, for whom the bell tolls with him, like, like that bass line is so cool.
Yeah.
So
man, that's a good concert too. That is a good concert. Ramones are sneaky, man. They have a very good.
Also, hot take on the AC/DC. I'm Team Bon Scott. I'm going to be Team Bon Scott.
My boy, right here. Look, that's why we friends.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that choice. That's an awesome episode. Man.
Yes, great stuff. I would pay whatever you wanted to charge for any 3 of these concerts. Hey, look, if you are in the Rushmore community, comment, let us know which concert are you going to first, which one are you kind of putting off, rank, give us.
Well, I guess by the idea that we crushed more on Zeppelin, they're the mainliner. So they're leading.
Yep, they're the headliner.
Yeah, they're at the top. They're top. And then Queen's probably in there as kind of the right below them.
Yeah.
Man, but that's some. Can you imagine showing up to a concert and the first band that comes out is Rush?
Yeah, like they're not the most famous.
Yeah, I'm thinking about mine too. It's like, who would you like? Red Hot Chili Peppers at opener?
Oh yeah, all jokes aside, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I want to go to this concert. We need to go. It's in August. I don't know if it's sold out. Probably still find tickets. All you guys in the Rushmore community, you want to come down to Atlanta and go to the Red Hot
Let's take a Rushmore road trip. Rushmore road trip.
Let's go
to Georgia.
Do the Rushmore hangout from the concert.
It's too perfect. It has to happen now. So. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us today, man. It's been
thank you so much for having me.
Great time hanging out, catching up, talking about music, some of our favorite stuff, talking about concerts that we've been to. Look, Rushmore community, I just said it. Comment, let us know. Make sure you've subscribed, that you've hit the bell, you've done all of those things. Let us know what are some concerts you've been to. We kind of went crazy all over the place with genres and things, but I know someone out there has got something off the wall that has just been an awesome concert. Tell us some stories about the times you've been to these concerts. One of our favorite things to talk about here. So just been a blast. Kirk, anything you want to say?
Yeah, man. I just love seeing the Rushmore community down in the comments and hanging out. If you've been a part of this journey, you see just the fun we're having. Just to let you guys know, vacations and desserts are up next, and then we're gonna start off in August doing childhood nostalgia. Dude, we're gonna have some super fun with that. Yeah, stick around and hang out with us. Thank you for being a part of this. Daniel, thank you for coming on. I've been a great time meeting with you. And man, you're welcome back to the show. And you're doing a little podcast. You need help launching that thing? Give us a ring. We'll jump on that with you guys.
Man, absolutely.
Andy, you know how we end this thing every single week. Tell the people what's up.
This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4
and nothing more.
Peace.